It's dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step on the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. I want to tell you about this guy named Michael Servetus. Michael Servetus was burned at the stake. He was burned at the stake surrounded by his books. You know, the books, they were the kindling. The books were filled with his ideas. And I'm not saying they were all good ideas, but the year was 1553, and that was a year when ideas could get you killed. Look, there's nothing new under the sun. There are no more original ideas. There are only new ways of expressing them. Or at least I think I read that somewhere, and I thought I should steal that. So I researched quantum physics once, not because of the science, but because of the idea that thoughts were energy, and energy can be transmitted. Because I do believe that this is true, that your thoughts affect your reality. But I don't know exactly how that works. The word shoshin, it's a Japanese term that means beginner's mind, and it comes from Zen Buddhism. It's the idea of approaching all things as a beginner would. No preconceptions, no dogma. Bruce Lee said it like this. He said, "You must be shapeless, formless, like water." You know, sometimes I read ancient philosophy and I meditate, and sometimes I read the Bible while listening to Wu-Tang Clan. Sometimes I get sucked into Wikipedia wormholes. I've been asked by people how they can find purpose in life, and I don't always have a great answer. But it seems like that's becoming a trend of a lot of these podcasts, a lot of things I write about, some of the YouTube videos. Sometimes you can find purpose in the small things. Sometimes your thoughts create the world you live in. People sometimes ask me if the stories that I tell are true, and the stories being like some of the stories I tell about people who struggle with addiction, who've overcome their problems and have reached new heights in their life. Can people really change, they want to know. Can people really overcome depression, anxiety, and addiction? I want to tell you a quick story. I used hypnosis once. My patient said he had never felt better. His anxiety calmed, his fear subsided, he was motivated. And a few months later, he was back with his ex-girlfriend. And he was as miserable as ever. So let that soak in. Now there's this, the guy, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and he helped develop the atomic bomb. And this is what he had to say about it. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I wonder if he put that on his resume. Look, we walk into this world fragile. And Jesus said it like this. He said, "We're sheep among wolves." My wife and I, we used to be foster parents, and when we had children come into our family, you know, we just wanted to be able to see the future. We wanted to know if everything was going to turn out okay. And I think that's understandable. But there is no future. There's only now. And the sacrifices we make today bring about the now tomorrow. You know, I wrestle with this philosophical concept of free will and fate. Free will and the minuscule actions of my making. And fate seems to be like everything else. Free will is what happens inside the framework of fate. It's like this cosmic dance. I used to watch the show Vikings on the History Channel. It's a very interesting show. And I'd like to go back in time and rename my kids after these Norsemen and shield matings. They had an interesting take on fate. They believed that their destiny was fixed, but you had a few choices you could make along the way. You could die with courage and then feast with the gods in Valhalla, or you could die a coward, but you were gonna die either way. Now back to my story about Michael Servetus. You know, the guy that was burned at the stake? He was a physician, so his story is kind of close to my heart. He was one of the first people to describe pulmonary circulation. But he was also a theologian. He liked to match wits with John Calvin. Servetus' ideas were so severe, so outlandish, so dangerous that he was killed for them. You know, because the powers that be couldn't allow those ideas to spread. And now, you're probably wondering what those ideas were. Because you think you can handle them. Because you think free will entitles you to decide what ideas you will follow and what ideas you'll cast aside. Because you accept your fate. But his ideas don't keep me up at night. They don't keep me really worried. The things that keep me up at night. Well, it's easy to judge history. It's not easy to live, to make decisions that matter, to have the courage to do what's right. I don't really believe in what a lot of Christians talk about when they talk about original sin and total depravity. But I'm not really naive either, because evil exists, and I know that to be true. I say this in the face of school shootings, human trafficking, drug overdoses, war, famine, terrorism. I know the dark reality. The dark web holds no secrets that won't be exposed. Humanity wrestles with itself. To know the others will be to know ourselves, and this will be our way through. I put my hope in goodness, the human spirit, the divine spark. And I pray that out of the chaos, we'll walk together. So don't give up just yet. Don't be afraid. Don't let the darkness swallow you up. Make straight your path. Feed your dog, hug your kids, kiss your wife, write a song, pray a prayer. In the night, Michael Servetus' flame still burns bright, as dangerous as ever. But it lights our path, at least until we find ourselves back home, wherever that may be. Now I'm going to leave you with another quote from Lord of the Rings. There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.